This podcast is brought to you by Primary Arms. Primary Arms seeks to provide the best shopping experience for everything firearms. With over 13,000 products from over 400 top brands, Primary Arms carries a complete selection of rifles, handguns, firearms parts, shooting gear, apparel, and more. Every order comes with a commitment to superior service, backed by fast shipping and an expert support team. Primary Arms, serving freedom since 2008. Find out more at frn.deals/PA. Welcome to the AR-15 podcast. This show is for you if you just bought your first rifle or if you've been building them for years. There is something we can all do to take our black rifles to the next level. My name is Nick Dooley, and I am joined, as always, by my co-hosts, Garth Hofer.
How we doing?
And Tyler Brockle.
Hello.
So how are you guys doing?
Oh, not too bad. Enjoying a little bit of a couple days off since it finally rained, and so I went on a gun buying expedition yesterday. It was fun.
What'd you get?
I bought 3 SIGs.
Holy
Pistol.
shit.
Well, I sold 2 pistols before I even started my venture, and then I had some cash in my pocket, so I went and bought a matching pair of 3.65s, and then I bought another X Macro that I'm going to have Cerakoted in the FDE to match my M17, M18, and 3.65 XLN now. The other one.
What'd you sell?
What I sold? I sold a GP100 Ruger and another Ruger LCP Max, the 9. Yeah.
Okay. Nothing I wanted. So
No.
I'm not pissed off that I wasn't asked. Yeah, no, I haven't done much this week. I've actually been kind of gun shopping after you showed me that SIG P322. I actually had a couple of GSG 1911 22 pistols that I'm thinking of getting rid of. I've had to modify them quite a bit to get them up to 15 rounds in the mag, but man, the biggest pain in the butt with 22 is just loading the mags.
Yeah.
So I really like the idea of a 20 round 22 caliber magazine that feeds reliably. So I'm targeting that as my next purchase.
Yeah, and the SIG definitely does that, man. It is, and they give you that nice little loader to help with that and stuff. I mean, not that you need it, but I mean, it's nice to have. So
yeah, right on.
It's a great gun.
Anything from you, Dooley, or are you still in?
I have done nothing interesting.
Yeah.
Except for, ammo components, stuff like that. But
Yep.
those are normal things. It's not really that exciting. The only thing I can found that is kind of exciting that we would be remiss if we did not talk about before we get into tonight's topic. And that is something that I'm not sure who broke it first, if it was Mr. Guns and Gear or if it was the Firearms blog or who it was, but pictures surfaced on the internets.
Mm.
And I know we threw a post up on Facebook and the Instagram. And when we got into that, there's a lot of people who have strong opinions about this. And it is the Glock AR.
Glock AR.
So if you've seen these pictures floating around or looked at it, we're not going to do a full deep dive on it because no one really knows anything about it. There are a whole bunch of patents that Glock filed a couple years ago for like a carbine. This uses almost none of them. I haven't seen the inside of it, but I've looked at the drawings and I looked at the picture, and I will share a picture here if
Oh yeah, please do.
If you have not seen the
I haven't delved into it yet, but it just looks like your basic bitch AR, you know.
Oh, that's all it is. I mean, there's nothing special to signify
So-
that it's Glock.
For anyone who hasn't seen either our Facebook posting or Instagram or hasn't looked at the internet, this is a terrible photo of it looks like just a standard AR. I mean, you can look at it and see it does have the Glock logo on the mag well, and then it's a Magpul stock with a Magpul K2 grip. It looks like it has the Magpul snap-in dust cover as well.
Mhm.
And it does have the third pin, so it is a giggle switch equipped rifle, and appears to be in that 13-inch barrel variety, 13 to 14 and a half, and has a suppressor with a flash hider on the end of the suppressor.
Yeah, this just kind of reminds me of how the old deal where you'd be online surfing Ford Bronco and they had all these cool concepts, and then when it finally came out, you're like, oh. And I feel like that's what's happening right now. They're going to troll the internet for a good 4 or 5 years with Glock coming out with an AR, and then maybe eventually they'll do it. But
yeah, and then they got an LPVO writing on top of it with looks like an aim point Arco sitting there as well.
Yeah.
And of course, Magpul buoys, backup, flip up polymer sights. But so that was for a British military competition, not like competition like we're going to discuss tonight, but as in like small arms contract competition where they're trying to get a new small arms.
Mm-hmm.
And those pictures surfaced on the internet, and the internets went wild with talk of a Glock AR, because there are people who would go, "Oh, I would do anything to have a Glock AR," and there are people who go, "Who cares?"
I'm on one hand, yeah, I wouldn't mind owning one because I was a fanboy of Glock, but now counting my
You're a SIG whore now.
I am. I've switched over.
Oh shit.
Yeah, he went from Austrian to German.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, like I've tried, I built my own Glock 34, did that whole thing. It wasn't for me. I didn't like them as much. And I mean, I totally get why SIG won the Army contract. I do. I also get why people like Glocks. There are good and bad to both. But for me, I'm not a huge fan of them. So now there are parts of my SIG that the Glocks, there are design features that Glock has that I wish my SIG has, but overall I still like the SIG better. So,
well, I mean, for all the SIGs I have, the gun under my pickup steering wheel is still a Glock. So,
well, that's because if somebody breaks into my truck and steals my Glock, I'm not going to be too bothered about it.
I just like it because so far it holds up to the South Dakota winters. I haven't run on a SIG during the winter in my pickup yet, and I don't know how it would react, I guess. So maybe I should this winter.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
I have a couple Glocks. I have a pile of M&Ps. I'm sure my basement has more SIGs than anyone else's does right now.
Oh yeah.
And
yeah, that's true.
And then Berettas, like I was a Beretta guy forever, and I ran Beretta because, well, not because I thought it was the world's greatest pistol, but because it's what I had to shoot to stay competitive, doing military competitions. And I say that as the, continuously shooting that, it helped me improve more so than bouncing back and forth from a polymer gun. And I used to prefer M&Ps greatly to Glocks. I have Glock 19s because they are easy for everyone to understand when I teach classes.
Yeah.
And I mean, really, when you get down to it, I'm going to have an unpopular opinion here, so get the hate mail ready. make sure that goes to Tyler.
But
The reason why everyone loves Glock is not because they're the world's greatest pistol, but because when they brought themselves into the U.S. market, they gave law enforcement they were a reliable pistol, 100%. They were not the first polymer pistol, nor were they the first striker-fired pistol. The first striker-fired pistol that I am aware of would have been like a 1905 Savage, and like that's the first wide-scale one that I am aware of would be the 1905 Savage, and then HK did polymer pistols back in the 70s, and that's where a lot of that came from. And when they designed the Glock, I mean, the original Glock was a Glock 17 because it held 17 rounds. And they brought them onto the U.S. marketplace, and they were a super reliable handgun. And when they did that, they said, yeah, these are really good. So they just priced them at a point where law enforcement couldn't pass up the deal. They just undercut the shit out of everyone else. And then, that's how it became known, as like it was the gun all the cops had. Yeah, my uncle's a cop, and this is what he carries. This is what he said to get.
Yeah.
Because it goes back to, like, just because someone's carries a gun doesn't mean they're a gun person.
Yeah.
This is true.
I know plenty of people in the Army who are not gun people. And
gun people, but not proficient gun people.
Yeah, well, it's oh hey, yeah, like I shoot, I go to the range, and I know a lot of them that complain about going to the range once a year, but it's just one of those like, oh no, you got to do it. It's not a part of their life.
Yeah.
So that said, like that was how they got the market share that they did, and how they got they were used by everyone, and they are reliable. So my thoughts on the Glock AR are kind of you really better have like the most rock solid bulletproof AR on the planet, especially if you're going to put just Magpul hand grips on it, because like even SIG runs a M&P does it as well, where their grips are kind of like their pistol grips. Like if you pick up one of the M&P ARs, their grips are actually almost the same as what their pistol grips are.
Sure.
SIGs have their own proprietary design that goes along with, to go with. And if you're just going to use an off-the-shelf Magpul part, man, you're really, really missing the mark. But again, that is all rumor mill and stuff from the interwebs.
Until I see it shot this year, I'm not going to believe it.
Yep. Until I touch one in my hands.
Yep. Yeah, hopefully it looks a little better than that picture. So.
Yeah, that's like the picture was taken with a potato, and I mean that all works.
You bet.
So, we got anything else we want to cover here, guys, before we start moving into tonight's topic?
I say we just get right into it.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so we called this show 3-Gun Fun, and a lot of that is, this is one of those, you guys just shot a large 3-gun match, and I did not.
Soon. Next year.
Soon.
There's always next year. Always next year. But in the course of you guys doing that, why don't we talk a little bit about like considerations that go into it, what you do with your rifle or your PCC, because I know you guys ran different classes, and let's just really dive into the nuts and bolts of how these works.
Yeah.
Because I know that, Tyler, you even shot like a PCC IDPA match this last weekend.
Yeah, I did. I used my, I have a 16-inch MPX, which I used in the PCC 3-gun. And then I also have an 8-inch 8-inch barrel MPX, which I decided to use at IDPA. I've been doing 3-gun for about 8 years now. This is the first year that I've gotten into IDPA. And that one's primarily, it's just pistol, right? Or you can use PCC. It's a lot different. It's still got a lot of kind of similarities in the sense that you want to plan out your like course of fire, and I know that planning out your course of fire isn't necessarily representative of a realistic scenario, right? And I think a lot of like tactical shooters will nag on competition shooters every once in a while because of that. But one thing that I've noticed from this past summer doing a lot of these different competitions, whether it's 3-gun or IDPA, you learn what I would call efficiency of movement. I started to notice that like a lot of times, like when the shot timer goes off or like when somebody's just about to move, they tend to like shuffle their feet, right? They take an extra like second or so instead of just deliberately moving, right? And so it's these little things that I think with competition will help you build muscle memory that you can apply to an actual self-defense or tactical situation, right? Like obviously it's, like I said, not realistic when you plan out your course of fire, but a lot of the stuff that you do, how you maneuver around objects, your movements, your efficiency of those movements, as you do that more and more in a competition, I think it'll become a little bit more muscle memory and can help you in other aspects of shooting.
That is true, and the way I've always heard it phrased was economy of motion.
Yeah, sorry, that's the word I was looking, or the phrase I was looking for.
In that, try not to overdrive the gun.
Yep.
And stuff like that, because I know that sometimes you hear people use terms or say things, and especially if you watch a YouTube video or something, they're like, "Oh yeah, man, I was going through there. I was really, I was driving that gun through this target." And while you talk about, like, walking through and how you move and doing some of those things, where competition is still stress inoculation training.
Mm-hmm.
It might not be the same as tactical training because you are doing very different things.
Oh yeah.
Like, you're not going to do a tactical reload where IDPA you will, where you retain your mags more so than the USPSA course.
Mm-hmm.
But, because, it's okay. Nope, this is gone. And you whip it to the side because you're concentrating on getting the gun running faster and faster and faster.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of like, okay, keep that, put it in my dump pouch, like pick your mag up, rock out, rock in, dump pouch, back on target. And, like some of the tactical style of shooting does. And figuring out your stance and like you talk about like your movements, even how you're holding it and how that has evolved over the years.
Mm-hmm.
So, like the C-clamp grip that guys have where they come up and reach over the top, that huge thumb over bore, that, is to drive that muzzle one way or the other. Like I do a different variation of it where I come back and run with my thumb alongside the top rail so I can still point with my thumb. I can also run my light switches with my thumb that way.
Yep.
And then having it way out works great for competition, but for moving around like barricades, barriers, and vehicles, you need to have it back. And if you're clearing houses all day, I mean, you end up coming back to the mag well in 2004 Army style.
Oh yeah. What I know this last like the competition we did, Garth, they had a lot of barriers. They had a lot of like simulated windows to shoot through, and I thought that was really great in terms of you kind of had to do something different with your gun depending on what you were using. So for example, on that very first stage that we did, basically there was this 8-inch by 8-inch window that you had to shoot through, and we were gauging a Texas Star at about 25 yards.
Yeah,
so yeah. And when I shoot Texas Star with a pistol, I can clean that thing fairly easily. But this was the first time I actually ever shot a Texas Star with a PCC, and with that 16-inch PCC, naturally, I used the window as a rest. the windowsill as a rest.
Mhm.
And at that close of distance, I should have just free-handed it because the windowsill was actually causing a little bit of interference. It would have been a lot better for me to just free-hand it at that close a distance. So that's one thing that I would have learned that I could apply to other scenarios where when it's short, just I got a good enough stance, I got a good enough trigger pull, I can trust myself at really close in distances to not even bother with using a support.
Well, that was my thought. I mean, the reason I didn't do PCC with you is because they added shotgun into the PCC, so it was actually a 3-gun, 2-gun match, and I thought I had no chance of coming close to winning or anything like that. So I went, I'm going to rock 3-gun and work on fundamentals because if anything else, I'll take away what I can do better next time.
Mm-hmm.
And that same scenario, I ran that Texas Star with the pistol, and of course we shot it from bottom to top, so we shot it reverse order, and that rocked my world because I also used the window as a rest for my pistol, and that was a horrible mistake.
Yeah.
I think I emptied a mag and a half before I finally cleared the rack. So
Yeah.
So,
because yeah, go ahead, Julie.
I was gonna say for listeners here, people who are listening when we talk about this match that these guys just shot is not a standard 3-gun match.
It would be an
No,
outlaw 3-gun.
Outlaw, yep.
This is an outlaw match. So what that means is it is completely open to whatever. So there's no restrictions on, how many optics you can have on your rifle. You can, run an LPVO with a offset red dot. You can have a optic on your handgun, and then obviously you have your big tubes on your shotgun. And when they talk about the PCC course of fire for this, it's the PCC and the 3-gunners shoot the exact same course of fire, only PCC uses just one gun, and the 3-gun people use 3 guns, except now they made it a 2-gun, which was an interesting take on it. They just cut the pistol out, and you shot the pistol targets with your PCC, and then
still next year we're getting rid of that shotgun. Enough people didn't show up. We could have had a better number of people show up, but everyone complained about the shotgun. So
see, that's what blows my mind, right? Like I think like I've gone to a lot of these outlaw competitions, and at the outlaw competitions, I and it's not just the one at Pier, right? Like I've been to other around the state and surrounding states, and people will be like, oh, well, I'm not a pistol guy, or I don't like shotgun. And I'm sitting here like, you should really be versatile. At least I'm not saying you have to be an expert in every single one. Like obviously like me, I'm better at pistol than I am at rifle and shotgun, but I can at least be proficient with the other 2 weapons platforms. And of course, I'm a little unique too. I can also be proficient with crew serve and heavy machine guns and grenade launchers and a few other things. But, I think guys who come to these competitions and then complain about, I'm only good at this one gun and that's all I want to do. I don't think you're doing yourself any favors if you're not opening to improving yourself on these other weapons platforms.
Well, that's
yeah, I agree, and that's why I did the 3-gun, just because, if anything, like I said, I was going to learn something new about how to handle my weapons, and like you said, there was a lot of barriers and walls and windows you had to go through in different scenarios, and I just looked at it as a nice training day for myself, where I knew I was going to have to move and put myself in challenging situations that I wouldn't normally get to do at my standalone range at the farm.
I think one other key component for competition, and of course you can apply it to other instances as well, but know your capabilities. I mean, they even have know your limit targets out there in matches, but I saw it quite a bit with the IDPA match. So there was a lot of times where, I would engage a set of targets. I would run to my second set, engage them. And then I kind of had an option. Do I save myself time and shoot at the third set of targets like an additional 10, 15 yards away? Or do I run up there, engage those targets? So I lose a little bit of time by running up there, but I'm significantly closer, which really matters in a pistol match, so that I can get a higher score because I've made better shots because I, close the distance by 25 or 50%. And sometimes I'll take the long shot. Sometimes I won't. It kind of depends on your ability and quite frankly, are you playing on tilt that day or what? So
were you guys marking A zone, C zone stuff, or was it just hits and misses?
Yeah, IDPA is A zone C.
Okay, well then I would definitely take that time to run because
right. Now with the PCC though, I didn't.
No, you wouldn't have to.
So that was kind of interesting because it was the first time. Like I'd done a few matches with it with a pistol, but when I ran it with my my MPX, I learned a few things. So first off, like with my pistol, it's easy to get around like barricades, and I'm right-handed, right? So if I have to lean left to get around a barricade to my right, I can still effectively do that. So with my PCC, however, you have to switch hands. So I got to shoot with my left, get around. Otherwise, I could not get around because you can't step past the barricade. They have actual lines on the ground. So you have to be able to kind of be quasi-ambidextrous if you go with the PCC in that instance, in my opinion. Maybe I'm just not that flexible.
I've seen that a lot, even on with the USPSA or at 3-gun matches I've shot in the past, where they'll do things to make you do that, that offhand.
Yep.
Where it's set up in a certain way. And I know Garth can speak to this ad nauseum because he's looked and been like, "Oh, you just made the I hate lefties course today."
Oh, yeah. It usually happens.
I'm fairly positive I've heard that exact phrase come out of his mouth before.
Yeah.
At a match, it's like, "Oh no, it's just like F the lefties, right, guys? That's what we're here to do."
Don't be a lefty freak; it would be a problem.
That's exactly it. I was the only guy shooting lefty that day, and they went, "Oh, I never thought about that. Oh, sucks for you." Oh, appreciate it.
But that economy of motion, in when you're talking about like how to go around and like move around the barricade, where you have the fault lines that will cause you to add a time penalty or something like that. That's a very real skill set to learn how to move with a rifle. Like I've been to rifle classes where, it's, oh no, you have to do this, and it's how to move, and it's looking around, and like for tactical training, it's, how to enter a doorway.
Yeah.
And depending upon which way the door swings, when that comes open, it's, we used to call it just slicing the pie. Like you'd come out and how to work around that corner to get at the targets.
Yep.
Yeah, actually, that's how the USPSA match in Cannes the last 2 years has been. It's set up more like an IDPA match. I don't, because it's also a single gun match, and so I guess you can dump your mags at wherever. So there is that factor of difference between doing A zone, C zone stuff. So just from that aspect and shooting those matches, it's been a lot of fun because a lot of similarities. There's, you're planning out your match. You're going, okay, right here I have to mag dump so I can hit these next 5 targets over on the left side or the right side. And so it does present a lot of challenges going through these courses, and that's mainly why I like doing them. It just makes you think about how you're going to react and how you're going to take a target rather than just going out and shooting and, practicing on lining up your sights, and you're working on your time and stuff like that, and doing your mag dumps. That just adds that extra challenging. That's what I really enjoy about the whole thing.
And not what those heathen AK users do, where they just mag dump into trash. But you're talking about like your mag changes, where you dump the, where you actually eject the mag and then put a new one in.
Yeah. 100%.
I mean, mag dumping into trash is, neat and all of that, but that's not what we're talking about here. Having that plan and shooting it, and then of course shooting for speed, and anytime you're moving with a gun adds another element into it.
Yeah.
Because I have met a lot of people who thought they were super, super good shooters. And they'll go through like, oh, yeah, I'm awesome. And the only thing that they ever did was shoot from a bench.
Yeah.
And then you incorporate like moving, and it just blows their mind.
Oh, well, just even the fact of a tactical reload can screw someone over so bad.
Yep. Well, and then that's why everybody hates the shotgun, right? Because like
100%.
It's not shooting the shotgun that's hard. It's reloading a tube shotgun that makes or breaks people. I mean,
it's not reloading the shotgun. I can reload a shotgun. It's the fear of me getting my fat thumb stuck in the reloading tube itself. And then degloving my thumb. That's what freaks me out.
Yep.
Well, so I always, when I used to 3-gun, I always used to wear, at least a glove on my right hand just because of that. And I can't believe how many people gave me shit for it. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't wear gloves for like the IDPA or the matches, but like the matches we go to in the Army, I'm like, we're probably going to be fighting with gloves. I use gloves at those matches.
Mm-hmm.
This particular match, we didn't have too many shotgun targets. I think I only had to load 2 or 4 shells at max, which I've been to competitions in Iowa where, man, they would make you load your tube 2 times, and there I definitely had gloves because just for that reason, man, I was just slamming my thumb in there. And but a lot of these purists are like, well, you can't feel the trigger and blah blah blah, and I kind of agree.
Well, you just cut the finger off.
You can cut the finger off, right? But you can also get very, very good, like skin tight gloves that offer a lot of protection.
We don't want to hear about your gimp suit, Tyler.
I mean, or you could just go out and be one of those guys.
Gloves.
I mean, you could be one of those guys that rock the AR 12 gauge.
No, I do not rock an AR 12 gauge. I've had enough feeding issues in my life that I am very cautious of magazine fed shotguns, to be honest.
There is I did see that old Flannel Daddy himself was running a new 12 gauge shotgun.
Yeah.
That is an AR pattern and was a like full auto.
Oh, yeah. Huh.
It was ridiculous.
Don't get me wrong. Like, I would love it to work, but I mean, when COVID hit, right, and all the guns flew off the shelves, all of a sudden, all these cheap ass $600 AR style shotguns started popping up everywhere.
Yep.
Oh, you mean the same Turkish gun that comes from everyone?
What's that?
The same Turkish shotgun that comes from everyone.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, they look cool. Yes, they're AR style, but they have zero features of the AR. Normally, the stocks were fixed. You couldn't change them out. They were proprietary grips. The fire control group, again, was proprietary. And they made them, just absolutely massive. And it just didn't do it for me. And then add in the fact that, eventually, in my experience, I've always had feeding issues eventually with magazine-fed shotguns. But again, I haven't touched them in a few years, so maybe there's something better out there.
The Genesis 12 is what this one's called.
Really? Who makes it?
It's
Genesis.
Well, I mean, if you're looking at it, maybe you should screen share that thing.
Well, I had to go through and
okay.
I found it, so now I will pull it up and show it so that you guys can see what it is I discuss.
He has all his porn tabs open on the top, so he doesn't want to share his screen at the moment.
Been a long year. No, so I have a long time ago, I had a old 3-gunner tell me that a shotgun will never win you a match, but it will sure as hell lose you one.
Yeah, that is true.
And that is very, very true. So how I learned how to do it is I quite literally took my shotgun and pulled the barrel off of it and would sit in my room or in my basement watching TV and just practice loading.
Yep.
So if you look at this, you can see this Genesis 12.
Actually, it's kind of nice. I mean, it
It
doesn't
looks
look
pretty
nearly as chintzy as all the other ones out there, and it actually looks like that's an AR stock with AR fire control group. And
Yeah, they're not cheap though.
holy shit! Start out at $2,900.
1776 was their original.
Well, God bless America.
Yeah, no. So this is not the
discontinue.
This is not the $600. Oh, this is the one where you could do just the upper.
So it is an actual AR lower then. No.
Yes.
Interesting.
Or at least something akin to it.
Standard upper.
Oh, they do sell a lower. So
yeah. That's still expensive though. Holy shit.
Yeah. $750 for a lower.
Yeah.
And it is compatible with most DPMS Gen 1 uppers. So yeah, it is. You could get a upper, the Genesis Arms upper, and just run that on an AR-10 lower. Now I want to do that.
Yeah,
I'm in.
It's $1,700 for an upper.
Well,
so maybe someday.
Yeah, I thought about dropping that kind of coin on a Benelli, so why not?
I guess while we're on the topic, I mean, we can talk what shotguns we do use. I know I'm rocking a Stoeger M3K, and the reason I got that one was because it was I was looking at that between that and the Jerry Mitchell version from Remington. I can't remember what it was, like the 870 Pro.
Well, sure it wasn't from Mossberg.
Mossberg. Sorry, yes, yeah. It's been a few years. But basically,
because Jerry has class, he'd never sign on with.
Yeah. My bad. But the reason I didn't go with it was because I wanted the inertia driven, and it was only $600, and you could fit. It's a 9+1 shotgun. Right out of the box, it basically had everything that I wanted. The other one was like $200-300 more, and I was upon reading reviews, it was a little bit more finicky the dirtier it got. So I just opted for the reliability. The downside was the inertia-driven shotguns have a little bit more felt recoil on them. But I mean, that's been my go-to for the last like 4 or 5 years. What about you, Garth?
Well, thanks for talking shit about my shotgun.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was my second, right? It was my close second. I'm not even knocking it. I'm just saying.
It's fine. I actually do run the JM Pro 930, not the 940. I run the older model, only because Dooley talked me into not buying a Benelli M4 after I'd sold my M2. And that's the only gun I will ever have seller's remorse about. I can't believe I got rid of that gun. So, yeah, I do have the 930, and I actually do enjoy it. It feeds and functions fine for me. I mean, I only take it out about once a year. So,
yeah,
it was a 9+1 as well. And while I understand the price point, of it being $900, if you have someone with an FFL who, doesn't charge you.
When you stack it up to comparing it to buying an M4.
Oh, no. I mean, the whole price point, that was the whole difference. I mean, man, I spent $1,800 on my M2 10 years ago. And again, should never sold the gun, but I did. So I was in the market for a decent semi-auto, and Julie steered me in the direction of 930, and I have had no complaints with it. I wouldn't take it pheasant hunting, but
yeah, mine will be the oddball of the group because, it is like a version of the Benelli M2 or the Stoeger M3K. It is neither. because it is the brand that's dead center between those two. I run a Franke Affinity.
I don't even
And
know what that is.
what's that?
So I honestly don't even know what that is.
So Beretta is the parent company of all these different brands, and Beretta owns Benelli, and the Benelli M2 and all this, which the Stoeger M3000 is a Turkish-built version of the M2. Like, a lot of the parts are interchangeable and go back and forth and things of that nature.
Okay.
Franke is another brand that started making, Browning A5 pattern guns way back in the day, and they are a definite, like, upland, nice, like, would be considered nice, high-end field shotguns, but not at the Benelli price point generally. Mm-hmm. So it's like Beretta, Benelli, Franke, Stoeger is how the hierarchy goes. And how I came upon my 3-gun shotgun was I had this black synthetic Franke Affinity that I wanted a Pheasants Forever banquet. I did some reading and I was like, oh, this is just like a Benelli M2. And I bought a tube. So that's 14 plus 1. And then some guys at our local club had sent their M2s off to this guy and had them ported and polished and had the feed ports whitened so that they could, get really slick with the reloads. And I looked at what they did, and I eyeballed it. And I looked at my frame, and I went, I can do that.
You dremeled that shit yourself.
Oh, yeah. I chalked it up. I chucked it up in the vise, and we broke out the Dremel, and instead of spending $600 to have mine tuned and all of that, I did a trigger job on it myself, and then opened up the feed ports and did all of those things, and didn't take anything too far, didn't ruin a receiver, polished everything up. There's one scratch from my machine work that I did in my garage before I had the proper machines.
And there's probably going to be more scratches. I've seen how you throw guns and barrels.
Well, no, this one's to the metal. And like, you could tell this was a mechanical scratch. And then after that, I straight up would stand up and watch TV, and I made dummy rounds. Like, I straight up loaded shells with no powder or primer, but wad and shot, and would go through and just continuously load and load and load. And I would stand there and do that. I did it for a month. Like, my thumbs were bleeding, and just got to where I was doing dual loads consistently all the time.
Okay.
And built that muscle memory. It was.
Did you ever get to throwing quads in 4 at a time?
No, I have giant hands.
Yeah.
And everyone says that I should do quads. And I went, no, I probably, if I bought the expensive shell holders, I could. But because I don't, I just do doubles.
Fair enough.
But the one thing I would fix on a shotgun, if I could fix anything?
What's that?
I would put the grips on it and get the proper grip, a VZ grip. And the unique features of VZ A-guard grips is they're machined from a solid block of G10. And G10 is great because it's durable and doesn't get slippery when it's covered with mud, blood, sweat, or anything else. The 17-degree grip angle and wide variety of textures from mild to extreme, and color options are also available. You can get them for your handguns, your 1911 grips, your Beretta grips, all of these things. They have standard and slim palm swells, thumb notches, safety cuts, bottom profiles, and etc. More than 25 textures and 27 colors are available. There is a coupon code good for 15% off all handgun and rifle grips, and that coupon code is AR-15 podcast. One word, AR-15 podcast.
This is a good upgrade.
Yeah. Great upgrade.
So I know this can be a whole episode in of itself, but let's also touch very briefly on the ARs we use, because I know that can get quite in depth. The one I did was custom built Aero Precision. I used their enhanced upper receiver, 18-inch ballistic advantage competition barrel. So a little bit longer barrel, a little bit heavier of a barrel, so a little bit less felt recoil there. Obviously, the enhanced upper, the free floating handguard is not touching the barrel whatsoever. It's part of the upper receiver, bolted to the upper receiver. So absolutely no interference on my gun from shoving it up against barriers or using it to using rests to help steady myself. I'm running Geisley 2-stage triggers. I use the G2S on pretty much every gun I have, regardless of whether it's a competition gun, tactical gun, whatever. I'm a big Geisley snob. Really helps, I think, with the follow-up shots. Haven't quite got like into the binary triggers yet, which I know are I think were originally designed with 3-gun in mind. But other than that, I just get myself a really comfortable grip. Most of the stuff I use comes from Magpul. And then right now I'm running a Mission First Tactical Battle Link Minimalist stock on mine. I just find it comfortable and a little bit more lightweight because I got kind of a heavier gun with that longer and heavier barrel and the enhanced upper receiver. And then I like to run an LPVO. I'm using a Swamp Fox Tomahawk, which is 1x10. Gives me a lot of versatility, close up, long range. And I can actually dope the scope if I really wanted to. But most of the competitions I run really aren't going out past 100 yards, so I don't need to. But that ability is there if I ever get into something with 300 or 400 round or yard shot. So that's kind of what I'm rocking. Garth?
Well, real quick, before we have Garth talk, guys, we have something important we should tell these guys.
Oh, yeah.
We do. Yeah.
You mentioned scopes.
I did mention scopes.
Yeah.
And that's something a lot of people want and need. And we are going to team up with our wonderful sponsors at Primary Arms, and they are going to give away a shotgun, or not a shotgun. We're not giving away a shotgun.
We're going to give away a shotgun.
No, we are giving away a scope, and this is a solid scope, guys. This is Primary Arms Optics. It is the PA SLX 4-16 first focal plane optic. Mm-hmm. So when you go through and look at this, I'll pull up here so anybody who is watching can see that we are going to be giving away, and this makes for great radio as I quietly do this. But 4-16 first focal plane exposed turrets that you can turn and lock, and you don't have to take the covers off to adjust. So with that, there's one other interesting thing about this. This has a proprietary reticle. It has the ACCS Apollo 6.5 Creedmoor /224 Valkyrie. So at 16 power, this has a full first focal plane viewing point that you can look at and see that it has all of the detents and everything made for ranging specifically for 6.5 Creedmoor or 224 Valkyrie.
Oh, very cool. They even got the windage built in. That's a handy reticle.
Yep.
Yes. So this is from Primary Arms Optics, and in order to get that, guys, I think they're going to have to get into our social medias.
Yeah, that's probably going to be a good idea.
Sure.
What are they going to have to show us in order to win?
Well, if you're going to be getting an optic, you should probably show us why you need an optic.
And we're going to leave that very open-ended on purpose. So let's see. We'll do 3 weeks from today, which would be October what?
26th.
All right. So October 26th, 2022 is when we'll give this away. So you guys got 3 weeks to basically get on our social media.
Our Facebook or Instagram.
Facebook or Instagram, and upload a photo of why you think or why you need an optic. You can find us on
straight up don't do social media. You can also send us an email.
That's right. AR-15 podcast 2.0 at gmail.com. Facebook would be just AR-15 podcast. Instagram and YouTube, AR-15 podcast 2.0. We would recommend Instagram, Facebook, or like we said, if you don't have either one of those, just shoot us an email, and we'll announce the winner 3 weeks from now.
Yep. And now, an important thing with doing that when you're signing up for this contest, you have to like and follow. So when you go through with this, you will like and follow our Instagram and or our Facebook page if you have not already. And then you'll use, tag us in your photo. That's AR-15 Podcast 2.0 on Instagram or AR-15 Podcast on Facebook. And whatever you put up there for reasons, make sure you tag the AR-15 Podcast and hashtag. What are we going to do for a hashtag, guys?
Oh, I thought we were going to do PA Scope.
Yep.
Hashtag PA Scope. So Papa Alpha Scope. And just do that. Log on with whatever you have and take a picture, do the things. And Facebook or Instagram, set us up with that. Or, like we said, you can also send us an email if you do not do the social medias.
Yep. And good news, right? Like, I know this is kind of the first thing that we're giving away, but there is more to come. Primary Arms has also sent us one of their Expo Arms upper assembly. I'll be doing a kind of an overview video on YouTube on it here in the next week or two. So like I said, check us out on YouTube at AR-15 Podcast 2.0. We'll also have a similar competition to give away a full Expo Arms upper receiver. So just keep checking us out on social media, keep checking us out on YouTube, and we're going to start giving away a lot of free shit.
I think so. Yep.
Yep. So now that we took that brief pause to talk about our giveaway we have, which I'm surprised we have no comments about from our people watching live.
Yeah.
But, so they'll have the capability of doing that. Garth, what do you run for your 3-gun AR?
Well, currently I am running just a simple Black Rain Ordnance stock rifle. I haven't really got into building a race gun yet. That is something I never really thought of doing because I was always a PCC guy. But after shooting 3-gun this time around, I think I might get into it. I know you have ordered a trigger for me, and we are going to drop that in once you are home because I think that should be the quintessential part of my 3-gun rifle in a binary trigger. So I don't know if that's going to be a good thing or not because I think my follow-up shots are already, kind of rough. So that's going to take some time and effort, but yeah, it's a good start. So,
and when I reach into the golf bag of ARs that I use, I have two. I have a gun that I built primarily for competition years ago, and that one has, a Tegra carbon fiber lower, a Mission First Tactical minimalist stock. I'm not even sure what brand of handguard, some random slimline M-Lock handguard that I probably found under a bench somewhere. A Faxon Big Gunner 16-inch barrel and a 2-port muzzle brake. And riding on that is a Vortex Strike Eagle 1-6 or 1-8. I don't remember because it's been a minute since I've had that one. I think it's pretty sure it's a 1-6 because it's the first gen Strike Eagle.
Yep.
Because I upgraded to the 1-6 from my 1-4 Viper PST.
Gotcha.
And
the 1x8 came out a year or two after the 1x6. So
yep. And I'm pretty sure I ordered the 1-6 and the next day the 1-8 came out.
I gotta say though, I think right now I'm still kind of crushing on the Swamp Fox one, just only because you can dope it the Strike Eagles. I just got a new 1x8, which I still really like the reticle, but you can't make adjustments to your windage and your drop.
Yep. Well, then my other one, which is I built last year, which has become kind of my just do everything AR. Like if I have to grab one, that's the one it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a Arrow pew lower. So the markings on it are pew, no pew, and pew, pew, pew.
No, yeah.
And, just a, Arrow lower there, Arrow Precision upper with a Arrow Knox handguard that has a cutout for a light switch on the top rail. And then that one is topped by a Swamp Fox Optics 1-10. And I absolutely love that optic. That really is my favorite. That one has a Roscoe barrel. And it has a, I don't know what brand 2-port muzzle brake on it, but that's getting changed to a Yankee Hill muzzle device that will be a muzzle brake because reasons.
Yeah.
Because, well, I like having a muzzle brake. Sometimes it's nice to have a quiet gun as well. And unlike Tyler, I am not a trigger snob with how I do mine, but all of my triggers are unique. I do not do Geisley triggers. All of mine are polished trigger with a JP trigger spring kit. So it takes them down to a 3-poundish pull, or 2.5 to 3 pound pull, which is about as light as I want on a rifle.
Nice.
Especially anything I was going to be running with. And then I polish all of my triggers myself before I install them. So I am the very much so tuner guy who will take and pull my rifle apart and then go to fixing on all of the things too. Instead of buying a Geisley, we'll go, I can make mine that good. And that's what I run for my my AR gun. Or, well, my AR 3-gun rifle.
3-gun. Yeah. No, we hear it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just try not to make mine too outrageous, right? Like I've seen a lot of these guys who put on just these insane muzzle brakes and
you don't want to gooch it up too much.
Yeah, I don't want to gooch it up too much. I still want it to be able to, like, I can take the gun that I built, I can take it out and I can still go coyote hunting or prairie dog hunting. I can still use it for it. It's probably a little long and a little heavy for like CQB type stuff, but I can still use it in a lot of other applications.
Yep. And I'm much the same with that 1-10, that new one that I'm doing.
Yep.
Well, the reason why I'm changing the muzzle device on it is I am putting a suppressor host on it.
Yeah.
So I can run my Yankee Hill can from that to like my 10 or my 11.5-inch gun and bounce back and forth.
See, I'm torn on that because I currently have one of my like all my 5.56 are Surefire suppressors, right? And so I have a Surefire War Comp QD mount on my 3-gun. But the second you put that can on it, you have a point of impact shift. So it's like, and you can't really use suppressors in a 3-gun match. One, even if you could in an outlaw version, a lot of people don't like them just because the shot timers may or may not pick them up. So I tend to not run suppressed, and so it's like, well, if I'm not running suppressed on a competition, should I put a different muzzle brake on there? But I do have one of those like Gucci, I can't remember, Precision Armament, I think it is what it is, ones that are supposed to reduce the recoil significantly. But I feel like what I gain in recoil reduction, I kind of lose in the fact that thing just rattles my fucking teeth when I shoot it because it's so damn loud.
Yep, and I could go a lot harder into the competition side of things, but it's when I go shoot classes, I'm and take a 16-inch gun, I'm gonna keep running it suppressed because I've ran that gun with a brake on it and not been
Not been popular on the shooting line, have you?
Well, there weren't a lot of people running suppressed at the class I had that one at, but it was I was really debating which one to take, and I elected to take that gun instead of my 11.5-inch suppressed gun.
Yeah,
which I would have been fine with, but having the option, which is why I'm keeping the brake on it, to where, all right, well, I'm going to go shoot this at a class, spin the can on, confirm my zero.
Yep.
Happy motoring.
Yeah.
Right on.
So have we beat that horse to death, guys? Or
I think so.
I think so. So if you guys have any other questions or comments, like I said, hit us up on AR-15 podcast 2.0 at gmail.com. We're happy to kind of give you guys, like, if you want to know what we run or what works for us, we're happy to have a conversation with you.
And with that, make sure you when you're submitting that, if you're going to send in something on why you should win that scope we're giving away, that also might be a really good time to send in questions for a listener question show. I think we've got 5 or 6 questions that are back. We have a couple of questions that we have asked either in conversations back and forth with one another or have been asked on the show that we could probably retouch on to get a little deeper explanation. Like conversations about bullet weights and zeros and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of information that we could be putting out with that stuff. Garth, you got anything else to add that they should do to be sending stuff in?
No, I think we've covered all the pleasantries.
Did he just say pleasantries?
I did pleasantries. He's just fucking happy because he brought 3 new SIGs and they're on their way.
They're here.
Oh, they're here already?
Well, I have 2 of them. The one I left over in Miller because it's going to get Cerakoted there.
Okay.
But Garth, is there anyone else they should check out before we...
Well, yeah, they could check out a few people, actually. They could check out Patriot Patch, patriotpatch.co for all their morale patch needs. They have a Patch of the Month Club, guys. Go and subscribe. You'll get a patch every month in the mail. Just to look forward to have something in your mailbox that's not a bill. Also, they should check out Trigger Interactive. Tyler, why don't you tell us about Trigger Interactive?
Yeah. So not only a good way to look cool with morale patches, but another great way to look cool is just make sure you get training so you know what you're doing. And one of the best ways to do that is with Trigger Interactive Smart Target Attachments, which will allow your steel targets to interact with you and actually give you dynamic training, random targets, absolute blast, and really elevates the realism of your shooting range. You can check them out at triggerinteractive.com. And I believe there is also a 10% discount with AR-15 or discount code AR-15.
Kyle, just so you know, I will write doctor's notes for just to say going along with this.
Yeah.
So you can totally blame the show.
Yeah. So for those of you who listen on the radio, the comment is my wife is going to be so mad if I win the scope and have to buy another rifle. And I totally sympathize with that because I actually just built a new AR today because I had a Swamp Fox Kraken laying around and it looked very, very lonely. So
I hate to know what's going to happen when I get home and crack open my box of parts.
Box? You have 3 fucking boxes. There's no box.
There's no open either.
Box
it's just
says.
heat. And it's not a buy, it's a tote.
Yeah, it's a tote. Oh.
So, anyways, we're gonna have a lot of content about builds coming up. As we go through with that, I know I do have a lot of builds planned to talk about and things of that nature.
Yeah. And then when you have old parts that you don't want, you can fucking call me and I'll see if I can have a use for them.
Well, I'm most excited to get that mill and lathe fired up and start making some parts.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
But with that, guys, Tyler, where can they find us again?
So they can find us on Facebook at AR-15 Podcast, Instagram and YouTube at AR-15 Podcast 2.0, and email us questions directly at AR-15podcast 2.0 at gmail.com. You can find us on the firearms on firearmsradio.net podcast, AR-15 Podcast. Now we should be on Spotify as well.
We are on Spotify. I double checked. Even our old episodes are backlogged onto it.
Nice. Spotify,
So, yes.
and also your podcasting app on your phones.
Yeah, and don't forget to go check out all our affiliate links on the network.
That's
correct. True. And if you're buying ammo, click through that True Shot Gun Shop link and give us a little bit of help. It doesn't cost you anything else. Doesn't cost you anything extra. Guys, when you're buying from Palmetto State Armory, click through our affiliate link. Doesn't cost you, helps us out. Helps us to keep the lights on. Guys, do you have anything else to add?
No, I sure don't, man.
If you made it this far and didn't hear about how to sign up to win that scope, we have to go back and find out.
Yeah.
No fucking
free chicken here, motherfuckers.
Yeah, you can't just go to the beginning or the end. You have to listen through us speaking to the ether. And with that, you folks out there, stay safe and stay armed.